Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Tom Tolbert Show. It is a distinct pleasure to have Hall of Famer, All-Pro, Super Bowl champ, all those things. But most importantly, one of my friends over the last 20 years joined the show, Steve Young. Steve,
we've had
what is happening?
I've talked to you more than a lot of my friends I've known since college, over the last 20 years. It feels like you joke about being my therapist. I think a lot of times I don't get a chance. My wife, Barb, she'll be coming through here in a little bit, but she doesn't really love football. My kids, no one really loves the game. So when we would chat, I'd be like, oh, somebody wants to talk some football.
Well, it's funny. How long have we been doing that? 20 years?
20 years at least, yeah.
And this is the first time we've seen each other in what, 20 years?
Yeah, maybe. I never came into the studio, so yeah, but we're always close by. But now we're now you've seen where the Christmas lights are.
I did, and now I know why you don't take them down.
Yeah, right. There's no way.
Yeah. So you enjoying our well-oiled machine here? We got it all set up. We're ready to go here.
You guys are in beta stage.
What's before beta?
Theta.
Maybe that's where we're at. Before we get into this season, I wanted to ask you about the Super Bowl, but I'm not sure there's much to talk about. Is there much to talk about when a defensive line just dominates an offensive line? No?
There's this backstory there always.
Okay.
That to play high-level championship football in the NFL, in football in general, even in high school, because you ram into each other, that's the game. There's basketball, you have to get up to play basketball. I get that. I'm getting emotionally ready. But there's an extra thing that has to happen in football to go ram into everybody. And if you don't prepare emotionally to go do that, I don't know how to describe it. It's a spiritual journey that you make and the great teams are willing to make that sacrifice and prepare and put the time in to be ready to go. So when the fight comes, they have an answer. And so the Chiefs, the whole season, just kept no matter what happened, it's like, we got an answer. We have an answer. And they win the championship game. And it's as if, and I can only read it by how they played. It's as if they won the championship game. Now they're going for the three-peat. They're getting all this stuff. And now they get to go to the Super Bowl for a third time. And they pulled a Buffalo Bills where they didn't get ready to go play a championship type of, and the Eagles did just the opposite. Have you seen a more gnarly, vicious, challenging spirit than how they showed up? You could see it in the first series. You're like, oh, wow, something's not right. And then by the middle of the second quarter, you can see that the Chiefs had not done the work that they've done for years, every week, to go be ready to play championship football. And then it just, and I think the Chiefs always felt like, well, we could turn it on, which a lot of times they can. It was over. When he threw the second pick, it was over. Yeah. It was done. So it just goes to show that no matter how great you are or how much championship football you've played, if you don't continually treat every engagement like it's your last, it's going to be your last. So it was a tough one to learn.
Wasn't this year a great example of needing help to be successful? Because no one's going to question whether Mahomes is the best quarterback in the game, but he had a down year this year. Rice went out early. Receivers weren't the same. Kelsey wasn't quite the same. And that offensive line is just almost like patchwork. I mean, they took Tooney at one point. He was a guard, kicked him out to tackle.
Harrison Martin special.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking, to me, that was an example of you can be as great as you can be, but you still need help. And if you don't have the parts, you're not going to look the part.
Everybody needs help. All the greatest players ever probably had the most help.
Yep.
So that's no question about that. And that's why I thought the Chiefs were amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing scene for Patrick, because he never really flourished, but he would get it done. And that's why I think that's so sad, because they had a chance to three-peat. Never happened before in the history of the game. Reminded me of the game against the Giants with the Patriots when they were undefeated, and they were going to go 20-0, be the greatest team that ever played. It was all on the table, and it went away. And the Chiefs had the same kind of thing for them to be three-peat, champions, like never before done. Greatest team, they could claim it was all there. I just don't believe they made the emotional. You'd think, I'm going to be white hot ready. Yeah. And it was like they just got punched in the mouth. I just was shocked that they hadn't done the work all week.
I got to ask you about Josh Allen and the analogy, and it's different because when you were here, it was Niners are always Super Bowl or bust. Joe Montana was the quarterback before you took over. We've talked about the nut tree all the time, right? Where if you don't win the Super Bowl with the
Right,
nut
you're
tree,
out,
Tahoe, you're gone. See ya. Allen's a little bit different, but he's climbed that hill a number of times now. And like Sisyphus, he's back down starting the season again and trying to push the rock back up the hill again. What's that like to get yourself ready for another season after that type of disappointment, like year after year?
Well, I would say that I'm grateful that it's February to July. If it was like basketball or even baseball, worse, where you like, okay, you get a month off, we got to go back at it, it'd be hard.
Yeah.
You really do need that time. Like you talk about the emotion, but just the physical nature of the game. It's funny. How many times, like around Thanksgiving, you're like, I don't know if I could ever do this again. Like and then by April, you're like, oh, we're going. And football needs that break for people to make the emotional and physical recovery to go attack it again. And I think there'd be a lot less long-term players in the NFL if they played, with a little break, like a month or two.
Yeah.
You really do. And Josh needs that. And by the summer, you don't remember last year. You don't remember, like, oh yeah, that was something happened. I can't remember, but let's go. And so I think that's what's nice about the NFL and the break.
So explain to me, how does Josh Allen win MVP and Lamar Jackson get first team All Pro?
Because Lamar, the year before, remember with Brock, Lamar had a great season.
Yep.
And he ended up being the MVP, but I'm not really sure. So I think the MVP voters are humans, and so they kind of balance it out. Like I think Lamar's better season was this year than last year.
I agree.
But because Josh had such a great year and he'd had great years before and didn't win the MVP, it was kind of like, well, let's even it out. I think that's how it goes. Rather than purists want to say, look at the season that Lamar had, look at the season that Josh had. And I think, like, unfortunately, there's humans. Computers aren't voting; it's human beings, and that's how they. I think that's how they.
But logically, right? Logically, there is no way to rationalize the MVP being a quarterback and then that quarterback not being first team All Pro. There's no way to logically explain that.
That's
I understand they're humans.
Why. Yeah.
And they're like, we'll give you a little bit. Right. We'll give you a little bit. Right, here, you'll be kind of happy and you'll be kind of happy. And
everyone gets a trophy, Tom.
Everyone gets a trophy.
Everybody gets a trophy.
You want a juice box, Steve? Maybe an orange slice.
I got you.
Maybe a Go-Gurt. We all good to go.
We sell
maybe a Luma.
Couple old Codgers, a Luma on I saw my Jim Addison. I saw my Luma man. Yeah, on Sunday.
Did you?
I saw him. We always laugh about that.
There's got to still be cans floating around.
I guess everyone realized I wasn't involved at all. I just trying to help a guy out.
I know.
Bring some health to the world.
You became the mouthpiece of
bring the health to the world. We want to bring health, and what the public said?
No,
we don't care. We don't want to be healthy. Stop.
You know what the world did? They mutumboed you. And then went there, no Luma. No Luma.
Will not have any healthy.
Give me sugar. You had to be happy what you saw this year with Lamar Jackson, though, because you've been saying for years you want to see him get the full expanse of a playbook and see what he could do.
I was ecstatic about it because it felt like the Ravens transitioned the year before and said, okay, we are going to become a more sophisticated passing team. We're going to get the coaches and the people and the players and the receivers to go do it. It's still hard for John Harbaugh to completely leave his Harbaugh roots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I still think there's more to be had, and Lamar has even more that can get accomplished with less in some ways. Not asking him to do so much physically. I think there's more to be had by him expanding on his passing game. And we all know a great sophisticated passing game in today's world. You can, it's almost too easy at times if you have the right people. And so I would love to see them continue to leave behind a running game that you always have, but doesn't need to be emphasized. I think that Lamar Jackson still hasn't found his greatness yet. All of it. He's great, but who he can be there's more out there for him.
Where are you at with Aaron Rodgers heading into this season? I
feel it's a really tough spot because Aaron knows, and you and I have talked about this 1,000 times, that the rule changes created a new league that is more wide open, it's less sophisticated, and Aaron was trained in a more sophisticated era back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And because of that, he and Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Peyton Manning on the cusp of it, but all got the chance to take advantage of being trained in a previous generation, a previous iteration. And so Aaron knows that. He knows that the flats are always open. He knows the middle of the field's unpatrolled. He knows that no one can hit me at a quarterback position or I get flagged. Like, it's a new world that's so great for quarterbacks. So and as long as he's physically, and he's obviously very healthy now after the Achilles, you can play. He can do it. But now the problem is the music stops playing. Where's your seat? And there's still places in the league. They're getting more and more places. If I was playing today and I could choose, there's 3 places I would choose right away. Some I'd be okay with, and then a bunch I'd be like, hard no. And so the problem with Aaron right now is he knows he can still take advantage of the league if he has the help.
Yep.
And he has the coaching, the innovation. There's no places, no seats left. They're all filled in those spots. So you're gonna have to take a place with the Giants. You have to take a place with the Steelers.
Yeah.
And like, yes, fine, but it's not going to be what you're used to it's what he saw in the Jets. The lack of innovation in the league today is a crime, because the innovation is where it's all happening offensively. Look who the Jaguars just hired. Liam Cohen. Look at, like, they're all getting it now. Like, we have these young, innovative minds like Kyle Shanahan, like Sean McVay, like McDaniel, like LaFleur, and you're seeing that happen everywhere. And that's the spot. Aaron's in a tough spot.
Yeah. One of my least favorite things that fans say is they don't want to see their athletes or heroes tarnish their legacy by playing late in their career, which I always thought was dumb. If you could play and somebody wants you and you love playing, you should play. But I wanted to ask you, because unfortunately your career was cut short by injury. Thanks, Lawrence Phillips. Do you think you would have known, like, when it was time, or do you think you would have, like, ground the tires down to the nub and just say, hey, look, I love to play football and someone wants me to do it, I want to do it?
As you know, Tom, if you play professional sports, you're one of the best in the world. And how many people, human beings, get the chance to be one of the best in the world at anything? I don't care what it is. And then you have to self-regulate when you leave the thing that you're best at. And you know deep in your heart that when you leave it, you're never going to be close as good at anything else the rest of your life. That's the challenge. And so people are like, know when to quit. You should know, you should see the end of the road. Know when the journey's over. Emmett Smith, right?
Yeah.
Shut it down. Don't you? And it's like, come on, people, as human beings, recognize that who chooses death, essentially.
Yeah.
Because when you lose the dream, it's a death. Now, we all can stand back and go, health, long-term, better life. Like, we get all that. But it's just super tough. And as I watch people go through it, everyone handles it differently. Brett Favre handles it differently than Tom Brady. They handle it differently than Peyton Manning. Handle it differently than anybody else. Like you. Yeah. And I was in a spot where I could have kept going with Mike Shanahan in Denver, but I was emotionally spent. I mean, physically, I felt people can have their opinions about it, but I felt like I could go play, but I was emotionally cooked. And that's what I said about the league, like the Chiefs not being emotionally ready to go play. You have to have that reservoir to go care enough to go attack. And so I don't know. I mean, it's not easy for anybody. And I don't care whether it's forced on you or not, or you choose it. It's still a death. I tell anyone that ever had a dream to do something, even in high school, that you're like, I love football. I love basketball. Basketball's my game. I love it. And last time you ever played a real competitive basketball game is in high school. Yeah. You should treat it as a death and mourn it. Otherwise, it never really, it always, kind of aches. And especially for pros. And so many pros are forced into retirement because of injury or with no choice. They get, they get unceremoniously cut. And that's it. Yep. And they never get a chance to truly mourn the beauty of it all. And so, I don't know. You're touching on a subject, Tom, that I think about a lot because I see people transitioning and struggling, not prepared. Like everyone acts like, oh, it'll never end.
Yeah.
My money keeps flying. It'll just go. And then all of a sudden it ends and no one's ready for it. But I'd love to do something. Maybe you and I could do something to kind of help guys prepare both financially, physically, and emotionally for the end, so that it's not like a bag of bones at the bottom of the
Yeah.
cliff, you know?
Well, you do all that. I'll bring the beer.
You got it.
We should be
We'll
good
do
to
it
go.
together.
The thing that strikes me though is you probably remember the first time you picked up a football and or baseball bat, whatever, and remember how that felt.
Yep.
It just calls to you. It's
Yep.
just something about it that calls to you, and you want to go outside and shoot hoops, or you want to get together with your friends and play football or play wiffle ball or whatever. And to like say you're at the mountaintop, the highest ever, and now I got to give that up. The feeling's still the same. I always felt like when I played, I always felt that feeling was still there from when
Yeah.
I was a little kid playing basketball,
100%.
and then it's over. And
Over.
then it's done. And people say, "Well, you should know when to give it up." I'm like, "Well, would you?"
Well, remember, the day after you quit, you wake up, and if you're self aware, you would say to yourself, okay, I was one of the best in the world at something. It's now gone. Ask yourself this morning as I wake up retired, what am I good? Now, I know I'm not great at anything
Yeah.
else. I get that. But what else are you good at? And I think a lot of us would say, nothing. Well, what are you even passable at? Not that much stuff. So you can think about not just your passion, not just what you're good at and what you want to keep doing, just what is next.
Yeah.
That I don't have anything I'm good at, and you want me to give up the thing I'm great at? Like, so people need to just, at least have a little grace,
Yeah.
to give somebody that space to recognize that next day when you wake up and you're not even good at anything else. And that's why Roger Staubach would told me when I asked him his advice, like, just run. Run where? I don't know. Just start running, because you don't want to sit and stand and mope and hang on. Just get going. And that's what I did. And I'm grateful for that simple advice.
All right, let's get to a little Niners talk. And last year was just a mess from the get-go, right? It was like the IU contract and McCaffrey contract, McCaffrey injury, Trent Williams once more. I mean, just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. In fact, I think they had so many injuries at one point during camp they couldn't even do the head-to-head practices against the I think it was going to be the Rams or maybe Vikings it was going to be. But it's just like everything was wrong going into the season, and then it just continued that way. It was just a mess of a year. But I actually think that was a good thing for them. I think they were mentally, spiritually, physically exhausted from all the runs they made. And I think that'll benefit them this year, unless they keep losing. Unless they keep losing
I don't
players.
know I don't know, Tom. I don't think there's a way through this that you can kind of concoct that isn't a sea change from where they were. Where they were was the best roster in football.
Yep.
Prepared to go take the Super Bowl. And they retooled a little bit each year. I agree with you. There's an emotional toll and all that. I'm okay, fine. But last year in the offseason, they were retooling for another run while they could with the best roster in football. Now, with what's happened in the offseason, they're going to come back with a roster with some stars. Warner, Bosa, you're going to have Trent Williams if he's healthy, Christian, Brock, you got guys. So it's not like the cupboard's not bare. So we should not overreact, but we got to be honest. We're no longer with the best roster in football and retooling. We're in a developmental stage. Don't say rebuilding, because that's not, we're in a developmental stage where if we go to the Super Bowl this season, we're going to be wearing the jersey of somebody that is not on the team right now, whether it's a rookie, whether it's somebody that shows up out of nowhere, and somebody's going to have to come in and help right away in a very, very significant way, if not multiple people that need to come in and significantly help. So with that in mind, sitting in April and March, you say to yourself that we're just in a different place. We're in a developmental place. We're not in a retooling place or small adjustments.
Yeah.
And that puts a lot of pressure on John Lynch. That puts a lot of pressure on ownership, because they have done everything and more that you can do to give the team what they need to go win championships, and didn't get done. And so now as they sit there, they have to, so everyone's in a transition period, and that job's going to change. John's job's changing. It's not retooling, it's developmental. Kyle's job's changing. It's not, because there's going to be people that are brand new. He's going to have to figure out how to get them ready to play right away. And so it's going to be a tax on the system at whole, and it's going to test their emotional and spiritual and physical athleticism to see how good they are, because it's harder. The job of winning Super Bowls has gotten harder, if not significantly harder. And that doesn't mean you can't do it. That's just where we are.
How much are they going to lose with? I mean, they've lost a number of players now, but specifically with Greenlaw and Debo, it seemed like they were. I don't want to say they were the physicality, but I always mention Greenlaw, Debo, and Kittle is like kind of the soul of the team. How hard they played, how physical they were, how they got after it. And Debo's production was waned last year. Greenlaw's been injured now. Who knows what his health will be? But I'm wondering, on-field production aside, how much they lose, like just that kind of, I don't want soul of the team sounds like too much, but that physicality, the way they played, the way they got after it, how much does that affect a team?
We always talk about the locker room, right? Great locker room self-police. You've heard me say that for 20 years. And they self-police because of the leadership that's in there, the collective of guys that everyone trusts, that the alphas in there that are not going to take accountability, like all those guys. And they've had that for the team in 19, the team in 20 fell off, but it was like they've had essentially that group of guys in the locker room for now 5 or 6, 7 years. Now many of them are gone, and you're talking about the physicality. I mean, how about Trent and Debo coming out the locker room with the boombox, and basically just kind of strutting their way out to just punch you in the face, and no one could do anything about it. Like, remember, I was like, those years were there where it's like, it's coming out of the tunnel, it's banging, baby, and you can do nothing about it. Those are salad days, man. Those are amazing. So as you asked me about Debo being gone, Juice being gone, Dre being gone, like it's the stuff that makes it all work. Doesn't mean it can't be replaced, but it needs to be replaced, and there's a risk to that. And you talk about the physicality of it. No one can tackle Debo. I mean, how many times? I mean, you watch Debo run the ball. It's like, tackle the guy. Yeah. No one can take him down. Dre was that guy that just, you knew was just, but he can run and he can get around and he was a thumper, not just within 5 yards.
Yeah.
He was a thumper sideline to sideline, which was made him special. So these special personalities in some ways are irreplaceable, but we've got to find a way to do that. And so we're going to ask the draft to come up with people that by, Halloween, when your lights are shining bright this season,
you're going to have to show me where you put your lights
beautiful, shining, flashing purple and orange lights that are so appealing.
And green.
That day is when
Why do you say that with such sarcasm?
Oh, because it's such a beautiful thing. It's like, can you imagine your house flashing in orange and purple and
and green?
To me, when I think about peace, when I think about peace and prosperity, I think orange and purple and black and green all mixed together and just like flashing.
Halloween's about death. It's not about prosperity, okay? I mean, stop getting it twisted when you get to your holidays, okay?
All right, but on that day, Tom, let's not get distracted. On that day,
exactly,
you're going to say to yourself, "Oh my gosh, the draft that the 49ers had in April was transformative," and you'll list the guys like this guy and that guy and what they're doing in the team, and now it elevated Fred, it elevated Brock, it elevated George, like these guys that we can count on. Need all of that. So that's what's going to happen. But that's where I'd say 15 teams are. When we were the best roster in football, there was one team there. Now we're in a mix with, the top half of the league, I would call it. And that's it's not that it can't be done. It's just harder.
You did the draft when you were working for ESPN, didn't you?
Until I got fired, yeah.
Okay.
No, I got fired from the draft early because
we have some in common.
Yeah.
You didn't know anything about the players, did you?
No, that's not true.
No. Come on. You were doing NFL all season.
My expertise was what I knew, what NFL teams needed.
Yeah.
Right. My expertise was not watching college players.
Okay.
And so it became clear that you need to be experts on the individual players, not what the league needs. So anyway,
Well, they can't ask. I always
that's
said
too
because
much,
I did.
right?
Well, I did a couple of drafts. And I'm like, well, you can't ask us to follow college because our
I got to
job is
follow
to
the
follow
pros,
pros.
right?
So I can't go back and follow these
Tom, I'll
guys.
have you represent me next time.
No, please don't. I couldn't even represent myself. You kidding me? So let's talk about positions then. What position groups would you like to see the Niners draft?
Well, Brock is a processor. The
Mm-hmm.
ball is going to come out. If we ask Brock to create post play off script, I don't think that's where we're going to get it done. So if he's going to process and get it out, he needs that sense of protection early in the play. And it needs to be especially up the middle. So center, two guards. We know we have Trent's got to be healthy.
Yep.
He's got to come back and be healthy, and we got to have that. We're gonna have to find a tackle. I get that, but the center and two guards have to be above average. That's number one. Figure out those three guys. Figure out that combination of people that are above average. And then you need same thing on the defensive side. You need people that are going to push. In today's game, obviously you need the pinch, but you need the push. If you have the pinch but not the push, it doesn't matter. And so you need people up front that are willing to sacrifice their bodies game in and game, play in, play out, who can push the pile, can push it back into the faces of these dynamic. Look at where they're going to Jaden Daniels in the NFC and Jalen Hurts. You're going to see Love. You're going to see like all over the league. They're getting guys that you have to go chase down. You've got to get in their mug. So those two spots, I would say, are number one and number 1A. The rest of it, I mean, obviously, who's gonna catch it? Right, with Debo gone, if Brandon's not healthy, like Ricky's gonna have to be all pro. Juwan's gonna have to be all pro. I'm not about average. I'm not looking for average because we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. You need to be above average across the board. So you've got to find that, and Christian's got to be the MVP. That's kind of the way you got to look at it.
So offensive line, maybe defensive line?
Defensive interior.
Interior,
right?
because they need to stop the run. They haven't stopped the run well for a couple of years now.
And that's where teams that are understanding what Kyle had a tactic. Look, for 12 years, from 1980 to 1992, we had a tactical advantage with the West Coast offense because no one else could coach it. No one else could teach it. They saw it.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, what do we do? But then when Mike Holmgren left and Bill gave Mike everything he had in a toolkit, tapes, speeches, that's what Bill's way. He gave him everything. And he told him on the way out of the door, I'll see you in the championship game, which we did. That's when our tactical advantage started to go away. And we had to sharpen. And Bill always believed, look, I'll sharpen. You go, take everything I have. I got to get better. So in the same way, Kyle has done the same thing that Bill, in the spirit of Bill Walsh. He had a tactical advantage with the changes that the league made in safety. He saw the openings. He saw what happened, and he was ahead of the game. And tactically, he was ahead for 5 years, maybe, with Sean McVay chasing him down, with LaFleur chasing him down, a couple of guys, Sean Payton, when he was in New Orleans, trying to chase him down, but he was out in front. Now it feels like the whole league, not the whole league, but 3/4 of the league has chased down that tactical advantage, which they've all left him.
Yeah.
Miami, look at all the places that have left and taken what he knew, and it's coming back to get him. That's okay. But now I have to sharpen my saw. I have to get better. I have to reinvent. I have to be that innovative mind that can take it to the next level. And that's the challenge for Kyle, because I think he can. I think he's got that kind of a mind. But the tactical advantage that we enjoyed has basically been caught up to.
I've said this a couple of times, and I may be overstating a little bit, but I said there's 4 quarterbacks in the league that are above everybody else. You got Allen, Jackson, Mahomes, Burrow. Those are your 4. Then I'll throw, if I wanted to throw a 5th in there, Stafford, even though I don't include him in that because he's a little bit older. But Matt Stafford's still incredible. After that, I could make an argument for taking Purdy over the rest of them. Now, I can make an argument for the rest of them, too. I'm talking Lawrence, Herbert, Goff, Hurts, Love, Daniels, Stroud, I guess. Maybe I might be missing. Might be missing somebody. But where are you at with Purdy? Because, I mean,
Well, here, let's break it down a little bit.
Okay.
The main part of the job is to take the ball every play and deliver it with the play out of the huddle. That's the job. There might be a couple of those guys you mentioned that are better, but he's elite. in taking the ball and figuring out who's open and getting the ball. But unfortunately, in today's game, it's that, and then a big part of it is RPOs, having the ball ending up in my hands. Jalen Hurts, I'll take it. I can run at 30 or 40. And so the game has changed in a way that really elevates the guys that can take off and run for 50 yards or can run for the first downs and touchdowns. And Brock's shown what I would call 80% of that. And so that's where I put him. It's like, as far as processing, top.
Yep.
Which is, I'll pay all
That's
day
the
for
job.
that.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, I don't know that he can throw it all over the field. He even told you, I'm not the biggest, I'm not the fastest, I'm not the strongest. So those elements are limiting, but everyone has those limitations. It depends on which ones you weigh, you know? And so in today's game, you have to weigh those. They're not nothing, but I certainly would weigh very heavily the processing power that he has.
And he can move.
He can
I mean,
he's sneaky nifty.
He is.
And so if you hear him, I've been saying all season long, to face the music in championship football, Brock and Kyle specifically needs to make the space for Brock to carry the football more. Like, make the RPOs where he's carrying the football, like put the pressure. Because the truth is, if the quarterback in today's game is not breaking the huddle with a threat, that don't forget about me, because I will slice you up by running the football, scrambling around, throwing it all over the field. If you don't think that's coming, then that's a threat that you got to take advantage of. And so in that way, you just said it. He can do it.
Yep.
Well, then I know it's a little riskier for him. I know he's going to be out in space with the football in his hands a lot more. But in today's game, I think you have to do it. I don't think you have a choice.
And you said he's sneaky.
He's sneaky nifty.
He's sneaky nifty. You know what that's code for?
No, that's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
yes,
not.
It is. It's like saying Don Beebe's sneaky fast or Pat Connaughton has sneaky hops. It's code for he's white. No, it is. It absolutely, you know it.
Stop.
See, that's why you're laughing. You know it's code
what
for
I'm
that.
saying is, when you see him,
no, I know what you're
type,
saying.
You're like, I don't think can he move, and then all of a sudden he's even in the pocket. He's nifty, right? He's like moving around, finds a space, spins, finds an extra little. There's little the dude can prolong a play, and so I don't know where you rank all that. I don't know where it all fits, but I think we just got to look in the eye, and he needs to look in the eye, and Kyle needs to look in the eye. How do we make the most and take the most out of Brock? To me, I need more Brock, not less. Yeah. I need more threat out of the huddle that Brock Purdy's going to end up with a football in his hand, and intentionally, like, this is what we're doing. I think it's today's game.
He's sneaky athletic, is what he is. Is he a guy that can elevate others, you believe?
Look, last year during one of the losing streaks, and they still thought they had a shot at it, Kyle asked Brock to speak. And then then the reaction was from the teams like, oh yeah, that's, how it is in the locker room. Yeah. There's no fake. There's nobody gets to, you want to get abused, try doing something inauthentic in the locker room. If you can take a kid that's that young and throw him in the middle and have him say things that are at the key moments in the season and everybody respects it, that's not nothing. That's a powerful spot that he's in. And so I think that in that way, he's ready to go be that guy, and I think he's already done it this past season. So again, all I'm encouraging is to meet the challenge physically, strategically, right? Rather than, we're just going to throw it out of the huddle and go to win a championship. I think we got close to it with the best roster in football. I think it's going to be harder.
So he's going through the contract negotiations right now. And like, there are those that say, hey, they got him under contract for another year and then you can franchise. So you have him for 3 more years if you want him. I think that sounds awfully messy. Like, it just doesn't sound like the cohesive team you want.
Yeah, but Tom, I don't know. What is
that? Let me ask you this:
mid-March,
is that a possibility? Like, did you see it working?
Look at the offseason so far. Did you see an offseason where they would unceremoniously trade Debo like before anything really happened, and they would now cut Kyle Juszczyk, one of the heart and soul of the place, that they let go, that Dre, you know, I mean, that, to me, it's it's uncomfortable already.
Yeah.
There's a signaling that there's more. The idea now is, oh, you got a best roster in football. What can I do to help win the Super Bowl? Let me know. It's more like, hey, look, we're in this together, and there's gonna be rigor about everything. And I think that includes Brock, like, because it's everything. It doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's gonna cause grief, and it's not gonna be a problem. But there's gonna be rigor to it, and that rigor is gonna feel, uncomfortable. I think what's already. I mean, you'd think it would already be done in mid-March, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so it's going to be. But I think that's where we are, and I think we all have to, just like I said, own where we are today. Like, let's be honest about it. Like, it's not what it was the last 5 or 6 years. It's different, and everybody has to elevate their game and be more patient and be more athletic about the complexities of. We're going to be more rigorous around guaranteed money. We're going to be more rigorous around, how long the contracts are. We're going to be like, all of that is happening. So let's say it and know it, and know that it doesn't mean that we're rebuilding or we're giving up or that we're not going to go for it. It's just that the facts on the ground are we're going to have to do it a different way, and we're going to do it in the best way we know we can. And so when it comes to Brock's contract, I think it's going to be rigorous, and I think it won't be too dramatic. Maybe time makes it more dramatic no matter what, but there's really no place to go for both of them. If I were here, I would never leave. I'm not going to find a place where I could be better if I'm the quarterback. And if I'm the 49ers, you know that you have somebody that can lead in the locker room, is an elite processor, is going to complete 10,000 passes for you in a really efficient way. Figure it out. So both sides, through the rigor, will figure it out. I'm not worried about that. If you're worried about, okay, Brock, it's so rigorous that we're going to have you come back and play on the last year of your contract, and then we'll all. I think Brock could. I don't think the 49ers would lead that. I think Brock would, like, hey, look, clearly we're not getting where we need to be, and I believe in myself. So you know what? I'll come. Just don't worry about it. I'll come back and play for the last year, and then we'll see where we are. I mean, there's a power play that he could make.
That's a rough one.
It's a rough one. It's a rough one.
I mean, you're rolling the dice there.
I'm just trying to. I'm playing it out with you because that's the only way I see that going that way. And there's no one else. I mean, Sam signed, so there's not like, oh, we'll swap out.
Yeah,
I don't see that.
Yeah, I don't see them swapping out.
So in that way, it feels inevitable. It's just how much rigor, how much drama and time, and how frustrated do either side get in the new reality. I'll say this: the reality through 2-3 years ago, as you watched it play out with Trent, with Nick, with Brandon, was that we have a Super Bowl team, and you can push us to the wall.
Yeah,
and we'll break because we know we're close.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because of that, there's a feeling, I think, on the other way is like, okay, you don't get to do that to us anymore. And not that in a bad way, it's just you can't. We're not doing that. So in that way, we're gonna meet you in the middle of the negotiating battlefield. We're gonna stand firm in that way. So I don't know. Look, it's already interesting. The cuts they made, the trades they made, the stuff that's already happened, the people they let go in free agency. It's got to be shocking to people. Welcome to the new reality, right?
Well, I guess they finally got to that point. Hey, we gave you every chance we could, and now we're moving in. We're going to go in a different direction,
and we're going to figure out how to get. We've overspent. You can make that case. We've overspent. We can't keep overspending. Then we steal from the future. If we're ever going to win a Super Bowl, we can't keep doing that. So let's get the rigor back. Let's get disciplined and build a team and a roster that's going to be developmental. Back to the original point. It's going to have to be developmental because we don't have them right now.
Yeah.
They're going to have to get developed.
Do they need a tackle in waiting for when Trent Williams?
Everyone, yes, you have to have a quarterback. You have to have a tackle.
Defensive
You have
end.
to have a defensive end who can pressure the quarterback, and you have to have a corner.
Yeah.
Right? Those are 4 jobs
Yep.
that you have to have. And Trent, and I'll say this, but we lucked out with Trent, right?
Yeah.
Trent had a relation with Kyle. He loved Kyle. He came free, and he basically just came. We got Trent Williams. We got the best. You can argue the best football player in the last 15 years. You can argue it. It's Trent Williams, and we got him kind of just cause.
Yeah.
Just came. And Christian McCaffrey frees up, one of the best players in the league. What does he want to do? He wants to come here. So we have attracted the best talent in the league the last few years to come and join us and make us great. And they are in some ways irreplaceable. Both probably Hall of Fame players.
No, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And it just because it's so dramatic when Trent goes out, how the offensive line struggles.
Well, so if Trent is not healthy and can't go the whole season next year, talking about the help that a quarterback needs. If you had to rank quarterback, tackle, edge rusher, corner, you'd rank them that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 1A quarterback, 1B tackle, 3, 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so Trent being the best player at his position in, maybe you make a case forever. And if we lose him and start from scratch, it's going to be, you talk about, you need a lot of help to play great quarterback. It just got significantly harder,
Yeah. So where do you look? I mean, look, we got free agency still. We have the draft coming up. But where are the Niners in the NFC landscape right now, along with the Packers, Lions, Eagles, Commanders are coming now.
So it feels like the Rams are more have a little bit more of a solidified stance today in March. I feel like the Packers they're retooling. I feel like the Lions are getting healthy and retooling.
Yep.
I think the Eagles will be retooling. We're in a developmental stage. We've gone from best roster in football to a more developmental stage. That doesn't mean that we can't.
Yeah.
But we got to develop. We need to develop out of this draft. Has to be tremendous. The last signings, we haven't signed anybody. When they come, they got to be like people that don't just show up, but show up and we're wearing their jersey at Halloween, right? Again, so we will always be in the mix. We've got too many great players when healthy, and so we got to develop some people, and we'll be right in the mix. But now we're in the mix. We're not the best roster in football. We're just not. And so we got to figure out how to get into where we get back in the retooling stage. That'll take a year.
I wanted to touch on something you brought up earlier that Kyle needs to maybe not reinvent himself, but the next chapter where everybody kind of catches up. What does that look like?
Well, it's funny.
I mean,
like Tom, Bill Walsh, like what does it look like to iterate off of the West Coast offense? And Bill retired before he could do that, right? But what would that have looked like? Well, Kyle now gets to do it real time. Like whatever we're going to call what Kyle brought forward out of the rule changes, well, we should name it, right? Because it is something. Is the next iteration of it, what does it look like? I think it's definitely depending on who's quarterbacking, what your strengths are, and how you take advantage of it. But, I'm fascinated by it because what Kyle did originally was fast motion, get people out of behind the line of scrimmage, behind the line, offensive lineman, and out into space as fast as you could, and get them the ball in a way that created like slip screens and crazy stuff that were like all these ways to get people in the ball in their hands without having to line up in the eye. And so now what's next? I don't know. I can't wait to see. Maybe I should think about it and give us some ideas. I don't know what's next. I don't know, but something's next. And it's not the Eagles, with Saquon. Like it's not next to me is not to go back to just pounding the ball and throwing on third down. And I just don't think the Eagles have unique talents to make that work for them. But I still think it's the Bills and the Chiefs and the 49ers and the Rams and the Packers offense. I think Kyle, Matt LaFleur, McDaniel, even Sean Payton in Denver, Sean in LA. I guess we could just keep going around the league. There's so many guys like that now. They're all thinking about, okay, Kyle had that cool thing that he came with. What is next? And I think that's actually an interesting question for you both. We both should ask ourselves and others to watch for, because everyone's caught up. Everyone's doing it. There's no tactical advantage. What's next? That'd be an interesting question to be answered.
I wanted to ask you this because I've spent a lot of time thinking about this in all sports, and now sports have changed so much. Baseball and basketball probably more dramatically than football. But what is there about the sport when you played and the sport that's being played now, which are different, that you think if they merged together, it would be perfect? Like, what do you miss about when you played that's not present in today's
honestly,
game?
The game today.
We're almost done, by the way. I can see you zoning out on me a little bit there.
No, I got people,
that's okay.
My phone keeps ringing.
You're glazing.
No, I'm not glazing on you. It is past my lunchtime. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not one of those guys. You need your lunch at 11:45.
And a nap. No, I'm just kidding.
What are you like?
I'm just making it up. Stop.
What do you like, Rain Man?
No, I'm good.
What do you need, Jeopardy, or you need whatever
Alex
show?
Trebek.
Yeah, whatever he watched. Wheel of Fortune, I think it was.
The game before. The difference is the game before, you could, as a defender, I could launch my body from here to the palm tree. I could get there significantly faster by just diving at it. And that's how you tackle people.
Yep.
The league said, can't do that anymore. You got to bring your legs. You have to go tackle with your arms. You can't just launch. So now for me to run to the palm tree takes that much longer. Yep. So that's the change. How that feels is super significant. I wouldn't go back, because I think in some ways, as a quarterback, like I would want to play now. It's more wide open. It's less sophisticated, but it's like innovation. It's like you can do fun, cool stuff. You couldn't run a slip screen in the pros 20 years ago. You freaking get mauled. You couldn't like RPO and like freaking Lawrence just smash you. Like RPO would be in the middle of the RPO and the guy be diving and it's like you'd be dead. Like you can't do it. So like there's so much cool, fun stuff that you can do with the game today because it opened up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's necessarily safer, but I think it changed the game so dramatically for people who played before to play today. It's night and day to us. To the fan who's watching can see what I'm saying, but doesn't really feel it because it doesn't seem that different. It's just super competitive, great athletes, doing cool stuff. Yeah, whatever. But for us, everyone I know, offensive player that played before would be like, oh no, we want today. This is awesome. And every defensive player would tell you, oh no, this sucks. I want to go back to when I could maul people and just ram them. And so, yeah, I think that's how the vote would go.
Okay, let me ask you a few random questions.
Okay.
So we get rid of all All-Star games, Pro Bowls, All-Star games, whatever.
Should we get rid of them?
Yeah, should we get rid of them? We've already gotten rid of the Pro Bowl. It's flag football now. Basketball seems to be going the way of the dodo.
It really does feel odd that I used to go to Hawaii and play the most vicious football I've ever played in my life.
Yeah, Brent Jones told me those were like real games.
He blew his knee out.
Yeah. He told me this story. Brett Favre was going to throw him the ball.
The biggest beatings I ever took was in the Pro Bowl.
No way.
Yeah, 100%. Luckily, it was only a half. Oh,
really?
Yeah, you just get smashed.
Who's cracking you?
But everybody's smashing you. And you're just trying to not look stupid and no one knows the plays. It's a disaster. I can't even fathom that we did that. It's like, it's insane. Like, football's not made for exhibition.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is just ridiculous. So, yes, in football, it's ended. So it is what it is now. Yes. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And they've figured out something else to do around it and pre-draft. I don't know what. It's fun. So that's fine. The NBA, what they're trying to concoct, and to me, the NBA, you can do it because having another game, it's not the physical nature of it. You can still get hurt, but not really. So I don't understand. Like, but that seems dead.
It does.
It's dead.
It shouldn't.
And hockey should be dead. Like hockey should, like football. Hockey should not do an All-Star game.
No. But did you watch the Four Nations this year?
So that's
when
fine.
USA played Canada?
That's fine. But
amazing.
I mean, that's a vicious. That's a beginning of a vicious cycle that hockey players are going to say, "Wait a second, I love my country." I don't know, bro. In the middle of the
I think the hockey GMs are going to be like, wait a minute, bro.
Second. So I'm not sure how that's there. It worked for a little bit. I don't know. So look, if we go down the and baseball, to me, it's entrenched. That's the greatest thing going, right?
Still the one.
Home run derby and throw the pitcher out there who can try to strike out the side. You try to take on the best hitters in the game for an inning, and you get to that's baseball set. So baseball gets it. Hockey out. Basketball can fiddle with something. Football out. Have we solved the world's problems?
I think we did.
All
we did. Okay. Favorite breakfast cereal?
No cereal. Like
Never?
No. It's more protein now. I can't.
When's the last time you had cereal?
I love cereal, man. Back in the day, Captain Crunch. My mouth.
Oh, Crunch Berries or
my
straight
mouth
Captain Crunch?
used to get sore and bleed because inside. Because
the roof.
Why did I think that's probably not good for you?
Well, you needed it.
Why didn't it hit me at some point? It's probably not that good for you.
Well, you had to callus
your
it
mouth
up.
is bleeding.
You had to callus it up a little bit. Because I had Captain Crunch one time, and then after that night I had Hot Wings.
Captain Crunch. Every day, my mouth was raw.
I was taking a razor blade.
No, so breakfast is now, if anything, some protein and some like eggs and bacon and something like that.
You don't even treat yourself to a little bowl of cereal.
Well, there's nothing really. I don't know. It seems like it just died. Cereal died. My mouth.
No, it's
my
not
mouth
the,
said.
Not the Pro Bowl.
My mouth said
no.
My mouth said no.
No, you say no.
I do no.
Your mouth says yes. All right. Growing up, favorite non-football athlete?
Well, when I was little.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, Rodgers Tolbert was the guy that he was my hero. Rodgers Tolbert was my hero. So that's that.
Yeah. I think he played football.
So then I got to leave it. So I leave that behind.
Yeah.
Sorry, my things are going. So I would say, honestly, when I was 11 years old, it was Jim Rice and Fred Lynn of the Boston Red Sox. And
great outfield.
And that's, I don't know why, we were a baseball all my buddies were baseball crazy. And so I would say that.
Remember who played right field on that team? Fred Lynn was center fielder. Jim Rice was left fielder.
And it was Stremski. It was first base was, oh my gosh. Dwight Evans was third base.
No, Dwight Evans was right field.
I thought it was third base.
No, Dwight Evans was right fielder.
No, there you go.
That was a great outfield. Great outfield that people forget about.
Yeah.
Lynn,
so who
Rice, and Evans.
Third.
I remember I thought Carbo played third for a little bit, but I can't remember.
We were that was so baseball, and if it was anything else in basketball, it was magic. It was the Celtics Lakers. I grew up in Celtics. Yeah. I grew up with Muhammad Ali fighting Joe Frazier.
Yep.
Like they finished. I remember in third grade school, they brought in TVs so that we could watch the Thrill of Manila.
Yeah, that's right.
Like they stopped school.
Did they really?
And then everyone watched the Thrill of Manila.
That's an amazing school.
Well, I think that's what it was back then. Boxing was the king.
It was the king.
Now it's not the king.
No, you can't even find a match. You can't find a match.
It's dead
anywhere.
But you can't imagine where boxing was the most important thing that happened, other than maybe the World Series.
Oh yeah, the World Series was great. All right, favorite dish your mom cooked?
She did some scones with honey that she'd do out of this big vat of grease, and then it would harden up during the week, and then she'd heat it up and it all turned. She used it for, 10 years. I don't know. Does grease go bad?
I don't think so, but I'm not positive.
And anytime my mom tried to do something out of the main lane, like anything, we would reject it. Mom, what are you trying to do here, bro? Keep the same chicken a la king, man. It can't, keep it straight. Don't be messing around. Don't be screwing it up. And but she always wanted to come up with something big and new and interesting. But she made some classic chocolate chip cookies that were amazing. The scones, yeah.
All right,
She was
least favorite mom's meal.
anything that she tried new. Yeah,
Anything that was new.
Yeah,
You want to
because
be.
she was
you want.
great. She was a great cook, but like she wanted to do something fancy.
I mean, you wouldn't let
like
mom like get out
throw
of
on
the
some
lane a little
ketchup
bit.
and
That seems
uh,
kind of rude.
keep
Like
it keep it.
let mom expand her
Hey,
horizons.
like what's the movie when Will Smith's like just it's like just keep he's like the dance moves. He's like just keep it in tight. Like don't give me the whirlwind. Like just here, right here. Just keep it in here, mom. Nothing big. No. We don't need the sprinkler.
Yeah.
We don't need any big
Not the sprinkler.
lasso.
Oh my
We don't need the
gosh.
spins. We don't need any. We don't need to break dance. We'll just keep it right here.
I could see you doing the sprinkler on the dance floor. That'd be amazing. Most embarrassing sports memory.
Well, I've done the Patty Pernit pool party thing with you in the past, but
that's not really a sports
it's
memory.
not sports,
though.
but
that's a great story.
First thing that came to mind.
It's a great.
It's the first thing that came to mind.
Story.
You might want to get into archives and get that one out. But I think I started 13 to 15-year-old Babe Ruth baseball in a town where baseball was king. I was this athlete that was supposed to be like super cool and super good. 13-year-old, I went to the big team, Clam Box, and it was a restaurant, and sponsored it. And I went 0 for 8, and then I went 0 for 15, and then I was 0 for 25, and then became a thing. And I remember a 13-year-old like crying and like, what am I going to do? Dad, I'm dying. Like, oh yeah. And I remember it got to be like 0 for 32, and I finally drag bunted for a base hit to end the mess.
Yep.
But I remember the embarrassment of showing up as the little 13-year-old kid that can't get a hit. It was brutal. I remember that. Or the sixth interception game in JV high school on Labor Day. So the varsity was there and the varsity coach is out watching. And one of the passes, I went to throw it, and it somehow went straight up in the air. And I remember looking up, thinking to myself, like, I got to catch this thing because this can't be another one. And I got intercepted, and that was brutal. And the varsity coach came in to the locker room afterwards and said, "This is the worst group of athletes I've ever seen in my life." Bro, that was pain.
Okay, you gotta be honest with me here.
Yeah.
Did you ever cheat on a test?
Cheat? Like, no, bringing in like a script or something?
Just anything other than what was expected of you.
Law school, I would say in law school, I didn't cheat, but you have to get people's briefs and notes. And if I didn't get some help, I was in trouble. So I got help. But I never brought like, no, I never did that.
You never did what I did?
Tom, I think
Sit down in psychology.
You understand, my whole life, if I did something, I remember this happening. If I we used to go pool hopping, right?
Yeah.
Where people in pool and we'd go jump in the backyard and go swim, and it became a thing. And I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't think I should do that. And then one day it's like, okay, I'm going to do it. We go, and the siren goes off and the lights come on and everyone's scrambling and the guy comes out from the yard and I can't quite get out. And so I get cornered. Like everyone else is gone. Somehow I'm now the guy. And so he calls the police come, and I'm now the representative of the 10,000 kids that have been doing it for 15 years. And so my sign from God was like, Steve, do not, I will take you down. I will take you down. So do not try to do crazy stuff because you will go down for it. And so that was a sign from heaven for me.
Man, that resonated.
I tell you that story. I don't know if I've ever told that story before. I have been rather careful because I felt like it was like, what do you feel like God said, like, don't do stupid stuff because you're gonna get nailed. And I don't.
I never got the memo. I never got that memo.
I would have. I guarantee if I brought in little notes for cheat on a test, I would be, because of what happened in the pool hopping situation, the caper, I would be sweating. I'd be like, oh, and the teacher's like, why are you sweating? Are you cheating? Oh, yes, I am. How did you know?
You got me.
Call the cops. I'm going down.
The buzz. No, I'll give you a quick one. How dumb I am. I mean, so this is when I'm 16. I should know better at this point. And I haven't got the message.
Yeah.
No, I haven't
Okay.
even got to the story yet, because you're
Okay.
gonna at the end of the story you're gonna be like, I can't believe you're that big a knucklehead. So we go to my dad's shop. My dad was a machinist, and he had to go in late one night to do something or other for a friend. So he takes me to the shop with him. We drive over to the shop. His friend's following us, and we go into the shop, and it's this big warehouse that has offices in the building. So it's 50 feet high, ceilings and everything, and then inside that there's offices with the cardboard, not cardboard, but styrofoam, whatever it is, ceilings and all that kind of stuff with the hanging roofs and everything. And for some reason, I saw a ladder and I thought it'd be cool to climb up there and like walk on the beams when I'm up there, just to kind of see what's up there, what's going on up there. And well, I took a wrong step
Down you
through
went.
the
Through the
ceiling,
ceiling.
and my dad heard me just crash, and I crashed onto this table. And my dad had seen me up there 2 seconds before, and he looked over, and I was gone. So he knew something had gone wrong. So I get over. I hurt like hell, but I didn't say anything because I knew my dad was coming, and my dad wasn't playing. So I missed a computer by about that much.
Oh, wow.
Which would have
you also broke your leg. You broke your.
It would have been bad. So my dad was not thrilled with me. He had to go back to work and clean all that up. And there's a big old hole in the ceiling.
And Tom, didn't you say from that experience,
Yeah.
Okay, no more?
No.
Because I recognize that if I'm going to do something stupid, I want to finish my story because you're falling through the roof.
Yeah, no.
People are going to say, why did you get caught? You're supposed to be super fast. The fence had like points and stuff.
Yes, of
and
course.
I was like, I had a game the next day. And so I'm like, what if I cut I got to be ready to play. So I went for the gate.
Yeah.
Like the safe way out, because I got a game to play. So I just want to make sure we're clear that like I got caught because I didn't want to. So anyway, back to your story, falling through the roof. So you're not telling me that didn't keep you from saying, okay, you know what? I'm not going to do stupid stuff anymore.
No.
Well, because the cops didn't come. If the cops would have come,
I would have rather had the cops come. Are you kidding me? If the cops would have come, it would have been better for me.
That's what's missing with your story. Because when the cops showed up and called my dad to come over and go, what the hell are you doing? Like, that's when it kind of sinks in. So, you know what? You probably didn't feel like God told you something there. Like,
no, there was
like,
yeah.
I know this is a sign. Bro, quit screwing around.
No, I'm sure if he's up there, he spent his time on people he thought he could affect.
Yep,
he's like, no. I tried to steer clear of my dad for a while after that, by the way. I rode home with the neighbor. I didn't ride home with my dad because my dad was not. So that's kind of the dumb stuff that I did growing up.
Oh, no, I got one real quick.
Yeah.
Dad got me a BB gun. And
that was going to go well.
That wasn't, what can go wrong?
No.
So I'm out there I'm shooting everything, and I'm taking shots at the stop sign, from far away. How far can I go? And my brother comes out 2 years younger than me, Mike. He goes, hey, let me take a couple shots. I'm like, yeah, I got to go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. While I'm gone, the mailman sees what my brother's doing and stops him and calls the cops, and my brother gets arrested.
No way.
For shooting the stop sign.
They didn't haul him in, did they? No, they didn't.
To the station.
No.
To the station. And my dad had to go down. And somehow, like, the BB gun was confiscated. My brother's like, I did it. My brother did it. My brother.
They have it in the evidence locker.
All I did was just holding him while I went to the bathroom.
Oh, you hung him out. Unbelievable.
Not on purpose, bro. Not on purpose. But that was one of the all-time greats. Me and my dad driving down to the police station to get my brother out.
Now, did you come clean to your dad?
I didn't have to, because the second I walked in, my brother screaming at the top of his lungs. I didn't shoot the stop sign. I never shot it. Steve shot it. I was just holding.
Oh God, that is a good one. I never heard that one before. Oh my gosh, that was well timed by you, by the way. Well timed bathroom break. What were so if you did get in trouble, what were punishments like at the young household for the young kids?
The threat was the woodshed.
Like, what do you mean the woodshed?
You want to go to the woodshed? And we always
What was it, like Mike Leach?
Where is the woodshed?
Just
like, what is the woodshed? Like the woodshed, and then the paddle.
Did you have a
He
woodshed?
had a paddle from his fraternity days from college at law school that had all the law, summa cum laude, all the Latin terms and everything, and he had a paddle. He's like, paddle? You want the paddle? And like, my
Dude, you're going to get paddled in Latin?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
that's
you'd
amazing.
leave a stain.
Wow.
Like it was like a scar. But he never actually did it. It was just always the threat of the paddle and the woodshed. You want to go to the woodshed? Like, we're all like, no, we do not want to go to the woodshed. One more time. And then when the day would end, and we were playing all over the neighborhood, right? And it was time for dinner. He would whistle. He could whistle like super loud, and you could hear it from everywhere. And that meant you get on your freaking horse and you sprint home. And so my dad, that's how we rolled, is the whistle, sprint home, don't get the paddle, and never want to see the woodshed.
Did you have a woodshed?
No, that's when we got older. We all asked ourselves, why didn't we ask where the woodshed is? But none of us ever really, we like, it's somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere. It's behind the fence, bro. You do not want to go to the woodshed.
So you had the threat of the paddle, but never the paddle.
Never the paddle. Because you knew with him, he had kind of gold teeth and like fillings and like the grit, and like it would like you did not mess with my. I can tell you stories. My mom and dad after dinner would stay at the dinner table, and they'd obviously go through the day. Now that I'm older, like they're going through the day.
Yep.
We'd be all over the house, and if we were fighting or something, he would take the chair and scrape it across the pitch like that. And we're like, oh, we were like,
he's getting
scramble. Like, and then he actually never left the chair. All he did was go like this.
Scram.
That was it.
I wish all I ever had was a threat. We actually got the real deal, by the way, or I did. I don't know if Jeffrey did by that point. I think my dad had stopped with the belt. I got the belt.
One time.
Did you?
I pushed my brother down the back stone stairs backwards. He went down and hit his head. My dad panicked. He was at the barbecue. He freaked out, couldn't believe what he just saw, and I think out of reaction, he hit me with a hand like this, like this, and all I remember was going.
It's like the Matrix.
The back wall. Like, that was the big moment right there, because he was. I think he thought I killed my brother. My brother ended up being okay. He did. He has a police record, but that's another story. But he's actually fine. He's actually fine. He's an emergency doc. He's doing.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
You pushed a convict down the stairs.
The
hell are you doing, pushing your brother down the stone stairs? Just shove him down.
Who knows, bro? Who knows?
Steve,
all right.
I always
Thomas,
appreciate it.
you're a good man.
You're
bro.
the best.
You brought out stuff I haven't remembered for a long time.
Absolute best.
Knowing this crack staff here, they probably are going to turn to you and go, hey, we never hit we never hit play, bro. Do you mind doing that again? Can you guys go around another lap?
All right. We're working it out. We're working it out. I'm glad you're in the beta stage.
Well, that's when it really matters. It's memory, right? It's like we get to talk about it when it's like, Tom Tolbert show, Joe Rogan, like the
please.
Then you're like, you guys know where I started? Do you know where the roots of this place? I was on Steve Young's fucking front porch. He was a piece of crap,
It's a beautiful front porch. I mean, this is like, I told you I could take a nap on the front porch. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You've done well for yourself. You've done okay.
We're doing okay. Onward. All right.
Steve, cut.